All right, we're looking at the full moon in Taurus coming in on November the 15th, following the new moon in Scorpio that we had on the 1st. Now, this full moon is a culmination point of the new moon. I'm going to first talk about Scorpio season, though, and what maybe some of you out there could have been experiencing or are experiencing. This has been an intense month. The new moon in Scorpio was quite intense and quite transformative for a lot of people. I would almost look into perhaps if it's resonating with you on the intensity or maybe some of the down energy. If it is resonating with you, there is a very transformative shift that is happening. This is all about what Scorpio has to offer. Yes, it can be uncomfortable. Yes, it can be intense. Yes, it can be uncertain. But there's a very powerful calling in how we work with it and through it. Not by avoiding it, not by rejecting it, but by exploring it. It is an uncomfortable experience. I understand sometimes it can be very uncomfortable, but there's a lot of information in this context. Now, I know this has to do with shadow work. It has to do with the unconscious. Sometimes we don't want to work through it and acknowledge it because it is very uncomfortable, or it can be. But this is where we can explore a very transformative time if we go into this type of work. Now, Scorpio season, it is a very strong season. It is a very strong and powerful archetype, right? It's just the natural flavor of this particular archetype. So there can be conflict, there can be intensity within self, and just be aware, be gentle with yourself, be kind, and just acknowledge what might be surfacing, what might need a little bit of attention, and what also might need some grace and compassion, especially towards yourself. So just be aware of what could be a theme for you, especially during the new moon on the 1st. What intentions did you set? What was set in motion in some kind of way? What has initiated on the 1st, as that was a very strong start to the month? And what could the new moon or full moon in Taurus be almost allowing for you to come to some kind of conclusion in a way? Now, the fixed signs have a very strong correlation with fixation with attachments. Scorpio, you can think of under the surface, so almost the death and decay under the surface that offers life that grows above, which is Taurus. So even a plant with its roots down below starting to have a birth form under the surface, and then moving into a plant above the surface in the growth in the material realm is Taurus. So we do have this polarization between these two opposing signs, where one is beneath the surface. You can think of it as the analogy beneath our surface within ourselves, and then the above the surface, the as above, is Taurus, what we get to materialize, what we get to create and manifest in the physical plane. So this full moon can be almost, I would consider a little bit of intention as well as release. I would say more release, of course, just that is the nature of full moons, is to be very aware of what we can let go of. Now, release can be letting go of any attachments. The attachments can be attachments within ourselves, attachment to fear, attachment to worst case outcome, attachment to ruminating, or even being stubborn and resistive. That is a little bit of the shadowy archetype of Taurus, but all the fixed signs have this, and I'm sure we can all relate to some degree of having a little bit of that or experiencing that in our life. But also, how can we let go of attachments to maybe the past or even to the future of expectations, and also fear projection towards the future. Also the attachments towards people and towards life situations. So finding more fluidity and flow and flexibility and trust. Now, trust was the last video that I uploaded for a reason, because trust, I feel, is at the origin of why we hold on, or lack of trust, I should say, is at the origin of why we tend to hold on to things, why we tend to gravitate towards what we can control and what we can find almost stability and security within, without letting go and finding trust and flow and fluidity with life. And so there is a little bit of this, the reflection that may need to be introduced or could be introduced during the time of the full moon, to understand where trust has been, or a lack of trust has been brought into the unconscious, and where can more trust be integrated into your practice to allow for more fluidity in the release of any fears or expectations or stories of the past. So the fixed energies do have a bit of the rigidity, a bit of holding on. a bit of even remaining in the past or expecting the future, expectations of the future, or even just being stubborn and rigid. So there could be a little bit of flexibility integrated into this full moon, but full moons are all about releasing. So coming to a culmination point, a realization, for example. Now this might go a little bit deep, but maybe perhaps what are we holding on deeper under the surface as an emotional, maybe addiction or attachment? Now, addiction can be used as in a way of our biology, because our biology can become very unconsciously addicted to holding on to emotions and fear and what has felt comfortable within our unconscious self. So it's just simple observation and awareness. Awareness heals always. So by even sensing within self, are we holding on to stories of the past or pain or hurt or emotions or fear? And how can we let it go so we can manifest in our physical realm? So that's where the intentions can be, in a sense of what do we need to release today or in this time of the full moon in order to create in the material realm. So what do we need to do? Release, again, let go of or come to terms with in order for us to create, in order for us to maybe rise above certain situations with this Phoenix archetype of Scorpio blended with Taurus. And I would almost suggest blending these two archetypes together for this full moon, thinking of how can we become more empowered by letting go of what is disempowering us. So again, our fears, our attachments, our worries, maybe stored limitations and memories of the past within our unconscious. This is going to be a very powerful full moon to do this work. This is almost a very significant pairing and partnership with the new moon in Scorpio, more than probably any other dynamic and duo in this lunar cycle. So these new and full moons here that we have, the new moon in Scorpio, the full moon in Taurus, are extremely powerful for very deep work, with the consideration to what is going to happen in the material realm in our physical life as a result. And the physical life could also be the body. So maybe even what habits or routines or anything to do with the physical health can be released or healed or accepted or forgiven, or however you want to position it, in order for you to start a new cycle towards something of a more healing practice or something of a more healthy regime that will support your physical well-being. You can also look at relationships, love relationships in the physical material realm, relationships that you can nurture, that you can grow into something beautiful and abundant and loving and nurturing with the Taurus archetype, but also powerful and strong and deep with the Scorpionic archetype. And then, of course, in the material realm with your physical assets, your finances, your financial growth, what you want to grow and cultivate as your rewards for your hard effort. So this could be a combination, I would say, with this particular full moon of what you want to release, what you want to change and alter and transmute with regards to what you want to create moving forward. This is a very creative transmutation type of cycle that we're in right now, all about the depths, but leading us to growth, leading us to a rebirth. Just as a side note, we also have on November the 12th, we have Saturn going direct in Pisces. It has been retrograde in Pisces for quite a while. So you could be coming out of this transit feeling more emotionally, maybe stable, intelligent, strong within your emotions, very assertive with your boundaries, and maybe also even clear with your direction of what you want to create. Maybe you've had a sense of creative direction and where you want to put your creative efforts, for example, and also the connection with your higher self. That could have strengthened during this retrograde, or maybe even observed aspects that need to be acknowledged, perhaps. And then on November the 19th, we have the much anticipated Pluto going into Aquarius. Now, I know a lot of people have been talking about this. This has been an ongoing topic over the last year or so, where it's been dancing between Capricorn and Aquarius. Pluto, that is now moving into Aquarius, where it's going to stay. Now, we've already seen the potentials of what Pluto may be unearthing, as it is the planet of death and rebirth. It is a planet of uncovering hidden truths and allowing that which has not been seen to the surface for transmutation, for transformation. So we can expect a lot of change coming in here with AI, with technology, which we're seeing a rapid growth, but we're also going to see what the results can uncover, what the results can unearth within humanity as a result. We also can see a great shift in humanity coming together more as a collective, wanting positive change in this world. But we're going to see this as a slow burn effect. Some of the outcomes might be immediate. Some of them are going to be quite a long duration for them to develop. So this is going to change the energy a little bit here as we move into this particular transit. Then on November the 21st, we have the sun going into Sagittarius, but on the 25th, we also have Mercury going retrograde in Sagittarius. So there's going to be a little bit of a push and pull energy around maybe direction, also in could be modes of communication and travel. For example, if you have a lot of Sagittarius in your chart, or you have strong influence of Sagittarius in your chart, there may be a bit of push and pull on communication, direction, where you want to focus your energy. There may be a little bit of confusion and a little bit of scrambled, jumbled lines of clarity. So just be aware of this as it may show up for the Mercury retrograde. We do have a week shadow period before the 25th. So we could be going into this a little bit sooner. It's going to affect everyone differently. This is not a time to panic or a time to be dramatic. It is a time of simple observation and be aware. It's going to affect everyone differently all the time. Mercury retrograde is not a general generic transit. It is in a particular sign, it is in a particular element, and it is going to affect all of us differently. So just be aware. That's all you need, is just to be simply aware of how it could be showing up in your life. And some people may not feel it at all. It's just simple observation. Just pay attention to details, pay attention to how you're feeling. And also, again, maybe for some of you, if you're having difficulty with planning travel, if there is a little bit of a scrambled communication, even with people overseas or in other areas, just pay attention. Communication is always key, and working through things in the smoothest way possible. That's all you need. And then we have a new moon, a second new moon in November. That's going to be on the 30th in Sagittarius, which I will create a video separately for that altogether. But the full moon in Taurus needs your attention. This is going to be a very deep, a very powerful, and a very transformative full moon. So set your intentions. I will leave a couple journal prompts below in the description box if you would like for a little bit of guidance. I will not be recording a full moon ritual for this one. I'm going to take a little bit of a break, but I do highly recommend to spend some time during this full moon for deep introspection. Take into consideration what needs to be released, what needs to be changed, what needs to be transformed in order for you to create in the material world. And that could apply again to your body, to relationships, to finances, to career, to success in the long term. All right, so I'm wishing you all the best during this beautiful full moon and beyond, and I'll see you again very soon. Take care.